Hello, beautiful humans of Into the Mystic. How's everyone doing today? So, today we're doing sort of the second video on how to get off this manifestation and magic hamster wheel, right? Like, the spinning and the trying and the striving and the trying to think positive and the doing the affirmations and the writing the scripting and the doing the spells and wondering why things just aren't changing as quickly or as completely, or maybe sometimes we get some results but they don't last. And so this is an experience that I have gone through recently within the last 6 months that I'm sharing with you, the way that I have found that reality creation, magic, manifestation actually works, and in a way that you get to be at peace while you're creating, right? You get to stop being exhausted and get off that crazy hamster wheel. So the idea is to recognize that I am source. And this is shifting from trying to manifest into being the source of your creation, of your personal reality. And so last week we uncovered why spells and manifestation rituals might not be working in the way that you hoped, especially if they're coming from a place of fear or lack, or from outsourcing your power to the tools or timing. Divine timing is another subject that I really want to cover more deeply here, because I really think that it'll open up something for you. I'm not going to go into the details about it today, though. Next Wednesday, our live is going to be all about divine timing. Because we are coming at it, looking at it from the wrong way. It is not something that's outside of us, that's being decided by the universe that we have no control over. It's more about a becoming, and how fast we become, that then we start to see the results in our reality. And so there's a lot of nuance to it, though, and there is to all of this. That's why just scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or just watching YouTube videos, you pick up a lot of information, and we start to take some of these things that are repeated all the time, right? Like, you create your reality, and we start to think that that statement by itself is the whole thought, is the whole concept. But it's not. There's a lot of nuance. And if you don't have the context or the nuance, then you're not going to understand exactly how that mechanism works. And you won't be able to then make it work the way you want to make it work in your life. And that's why a lot of people, including myself, go spinning and spinning in this. I believe that feels like truth, that I create my reality, and something in me knows that there's a truth to that, but yet for some reason I'm still not able to make this work for myself, right? And so today what we're going to go into is how we have to shift this from looking at problems that we need to fix, or things that we need to get that don't belong to us, that we don't have already. Because this shift is the shift that changes everything, the way we come at this from. This is your invitation to really lean into the first step of true creation, which is recognizing that I am source, recognizing that you are the soul source, the operant power in your personal experience. This is not a mantra, it's not a belief, but it's a felt and lived experience. It's an embodiment. And concepts and teachings are wonderful because they help us wrap our human mind around it to understand how it works. But the truth of the matter is that does not create transformation. The experience, where you shift from believing in something to knowing because you've had the experience, that's where all the magic is. That's where the power is. And that's the true core of where all true manifestation comes from. All healing, all change, all results from spells. This is where creation actually happens from. It's not actually the human self that is creating the things in life. So, sure, it's Angela can go out and get a job and bring home some money, but that is not manifestation. That is really just a Band-Aid to fix the fact that Angela doesn't know that she's source and doesn't realize that she already has the ability to bring everything that she wants through her into this reality, right? And you're going to start to understand this more and more as you watch these lives and you watch the videos that I'm doing on the YouTube channel. It's something, and through the experience of experiencing the difference between your I am awareness, presence, and the mind and the body and the personality. Like, they are two completely separate things. And so instead of fire hosing you with all of the details, we're going to start by really leaning into this first step of creation, leaning into the identity that I am source. And today I'm going to give you some very simple, quick practices that you can start doing to get this experience, to have this experience. And so let's start by dissolving this false idea, right? We think that spell work and manifestation are separate things, but they're not. Spell work is manifestation, and manifestation is spell work, right? It's just a matter of, are you using outside tools, or are you using inner tools? Really. And both are valid and helpful in all levels. But they're both ways to shape reality through intention. They're both ways to reprogram the subconscious mind. They're both ways to move ourselves from a level of being and vibration and resonance with who we used to be or who we currently are into matching the one that we want, right? But here's the nuance that most people miss, is that neither the spells nor the manifestation techniques actually create anything. They don't create reality. They don't create results. You do. And I myself knew this and was teaching it and still didn't really get it on the level that I needed to get it at. And this has been the big transformation that I've had in my life recently, and why I'm here telling this to anybody who will listen, because I care so much and I don't want to see anyone else spinning in circles and wondering why it isn't working for them, when I know how it works now and I can show you what I did. And so it works through your state of being. So what you believe yourself to be, what you feel yourself to be, is the true spell. And everything else is just a tool to amplify what you already are. And we often come from this to manifestation, to spell work, with lack, with an energy of lack, in thinking that we don't have something and we're doing this to get something that we want to bring into our life. And this is how we get it backwards. We approach magic and manifestation from, I need to get this thing I don't have, but that's not how it works. It's hard to believe at first, but once you experience it, everything changes. On some level, you might not yet fully perceive this, but you already have it. And I know that's hard to explain, and it's the same way as saying, on some level, you're creating all of this, whether you're doing it intentionally, right? So there's multiple layers from which creation how creation works, right? But it's never the human that's creating anything. But it's the human and the body and the personality and the persona that we use as a bridge to function in the world, to have the experience. We couldn't have the experience without it. So, but the first thing that we have to get is that what's going on in our outside world, in our circumstances, in our relationships, in our bank accounts, that is not an accurate representation of who you are currently right now in this moment, because we live in a paradigm, we've created this reality that we are in where there's an unfolding. So it doesn't happen instantly. It does energetically, but you don't see it instantly. There's an unfolding, there's a becoming that happens, right? And you have to hold it without doubt and not work against it in order to start seeing the results. But we look at the outside world and we think, that's not where I want it to be yet, so that must mean I'm doing it wrong, or that must mean that it didn't work. We're not teaching ourselves how to hold the line. And we don't realize that our current circumstances and the current 3D experience that we're experiencing is actually just an echo of what we've become internally. And so my bank account right now and my relationships are an echo of who I was last week and last month and leading up until now, right? And so what I see in my life is actually a reflection of my previous state. The previous states of being, knowing, believing, and then knowing, that I've held without wavering for long enough that it created my reality, right? And so my outside world, my bank account, my relationships, my physical circumstances may show me the distortion from where I was like, I'm the creator, I'm creating this, and I'm making money this week, or I'm having this kind of a relationship right now. It will show the distortions where I started second guessing that, or where I doubted myself. And so what we have to realize is what's coming next depends on who we're willing to become in the now moment. Because creation happens now. It's happening in every now moment. And so we don't attract things. That's not really how it works. We say that because that's how it looks like it works. But it's actually just a reflection of your previous state. And what's coming depends on who we're willing to become. So we don't attract things with spelling or scripting. They're tools to assist our becoming and our level of consciousness, our level of conscious awareness, presence, and our level and how we perceive the world and what our inner knowing and identity is what creates, is what it's already created. It's what allows us to see that and experience it in each now moment. You may have to watch this a couple times, right? You may have to practice the practices I'm giving you today and watch these videos and the ones on my YouTube channel to assist you in getting to this, because a lot of this is more of a remembrance and works at the level of feeling and remembering and resonance that it does in understanding concepts. You know what I mean? And if you're like me and you are one of those people that really wants to understand the concepts, you may have to just have a little bit of repetition. But today I'm going to give you the practices that I started with and I held on to for a couple weeks without doing anything else. I went all in. And first you're going to feel like you're not doing enough. But that's okay. You let that feeling dissipate. Because we manifest by embodying the unseen before it's seen, by anchoring into the version of ourselves that knows it's already done. And so in order to get to that point, we have to get over the fact that it's not done yet, and we feel like we need to be doing something, because we think that we do something now and then we get the outcome right away. And because up until now, that's how we've perceived everything is working. But if you're anything like me and you're starting to notice that, like, being in that world, that the matrix that's been created for us is not really working, it's exhausting, and it doesn't actually create the kind of abundance in your life, in any area of your life, that you actually want it to. And so leaning into the part of you that knows that I am the sole source of my personal experience is where the power is. And that's where we have to start from. And here's the part that a lot of people skip over, right? They can hear, and even me. I heard these things, I am source, but I didn't really, I tried to believe it. But here's the nuance. This isn't a belief. It's truth with a capital T. Like, there is no doubt about it. This is true with a capital T. That you are not separate, this separate self that's begging the universe for crumbs. You are the universe. And on some level, it's all you. And so, it's individuated as you. And this is the dance of self-discovery and self-mastery. And so, when I stopped trying, I stopped casting spells, I stopped scripting, I even stopped coming live in this group, I stopped taking on new clients. And I just leaned into returning to the truth that I am source, and then everything began to shift. I stopped looking for answers. I stopped trying to learn things. I didn't have questions. For a while it just got quiet, and I was just there, knowing that I am source. And it started to feel really good. You start to feel your power for the first time ever. And it's the most beautiful thing. And so I gave myself some weeks, at least 2, to really simply live in that remembrance. And what came from that was not the manifestation of my desires. Like, I didn't make $10,000 in that month. My personal reality didn't change in this crazy way. Like, I didn't manifest a windfall of money. But when I didn't have the money to pay a bill that was coming up in 2 weeks, and I had no money coming in, instead I just said, I am the source. And I know that this comes from me. And I know that I don't really have to do anything. I'm just going to do what feels good and trust that when I need it, it's going to come. And it friggin' did. It friggin' did. And within minutes of, like, needing it. Or, like, you know, like, if you don't have something right now, this is truth, then you don't need it, or you would have it. And this is a really hard one to... It's a really hard one to get over. But it's the truth. We're constantly projecting ourselves into the future, worrying about stuff that's not happened yet or that we don't need yet, and we think we need it and we need to scramble to get it. When really, it's all you, and you will provide for you when you need. So you don't have, and you just don't have access to that level of you to where you know where it's coming from. And that's okay. We have to build that faith in ourselves, in the universe, in your higher self, right? In the mechanism that creates this whole experience. And so, it's not just the manifestation of your desires. It's a profound sense of presence. Gratitude evolved into this reverence of being. Because I wasn't thankful for things anymore. I was in awe of being and in feeling my own power and in watching the unfolding. And so, to recognize that I am source means that you stop identifying with the false self. Because, yes, we work at a level of the human. We do shadow work here. We're not bypassing anything. We do shadow work. We find out where our patterns are coming from. What are the underlying beliefs and emotions? What are the experiences behind that we've had that make us believe that? Why are we trying to protect ourselves? What are we trying to protect ourselves from? What is our ego trying to protect ourselves from? Where are we getting a benefit from our circumstances that we don't fucking like, but we're getting a benefit from it, so our ego keeps creating it, right? We do that deep work in my world. But the truth is, you're also not your trauma. Who you really are cannot be traumatized. Your soul, your spirit, your presence, that awareness cannot be traumatized. That's the persona, that's the ego, that's the body. And you are separate from that. You are not your thoughts. You are not this body trying to get something from the world. You are the consciousness behind it all. The awareness that watches the mind. You're the dreamer, not the dream. You're both, actually. But it's from this state, when we can anchor into this state, that desires don't live outside of you anymore. You start to get this visceral experience of them emerging through you. And then manifestation starts to become natural. This is when magic starts to become inevitable. And this is where we want to be approaching things from. Eventually, after just allowing yourself to be and having this experience and really leaning into, you are not these things are not you, that your circumstances have nothing to do with your knowing, and that's where you have to be to really be an intentional reality creator, then you'll want to pick up the tools again from a place of power. Some of them, maybe not all of them, maybe the ones that resonated the most. Maybe you never will. Maybe you never will want to touch the tools again. And that's okay too. Because they're not as necessary as we think they are, but they are helpful, especially for the human, right? And so, and that's not to say that we won't ever have to go do shadow work again. Sure we do. When we want to get to another level, when we want to get to another level. But if we work at the level of consciousness, then we only have to return to those things when we feel like we run into a snag or we want to expand further, right? And then it becomes a game when you know exactly how to do it, how it works, and how to always return to that state. So how do you return to that state when you're so wrapped up in the doing and the working hard and the shadow work and the wondering why you've done all these things and yet you're still not having what you want, you're still not creating from the plate, you're not seeing the results that you want. Especially when life feels chaotic or you feel like you're caught in an old loop. I'm going to give you right now 5 practices to shift into the I am state right now. And they're going to seem too simple. They're going to seem so simple that you might talk yourself out of doing them. Please don't do that. Please go all in so you can experience this magic. Here's the first one. Pretend that you just got here. So there is no past. There is no future. You don't have a name. You don't have anywhere to be or go. You just got here. Your mind should quiet, and you can sit in that presence for as long as you like. Doesn't have to be a long time. 5 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, a couple times a day. This is going to be the case for all of them. A couple minutes a day, a couple times a day for a couple minutes a day. Pretend you just got here, right? That's the first one. I'll give you guys a PDF for this too. The second one is say out loud. Just say out loud, I don't know and I don't care. Say it out loud right now. What happens? I'd love to hear your feedback. Because when I say out loud, I don't know and I don't care, my mind goes blank. Because I'm not trying to know anything, and I don't care if I'm trying to know anything, and so now there's no thoughts. You let go of figuring it out, and you just sink into that quiet presence. The third one is to observe without labeling. So pretend that your eyes are not attached to your brain, and look around and observe your environment. And so now the things that you see, you're not getting the names of colors, you're not getting the names of the things, you're not looking at things and going, oh, I have to file that paper, I have to put that away. You're just viewing it from the observer. That's the truth of who you are. Spend some time as that observer. The more often you spend time as this observer, you'll understand that this presence is separate from who you are, from the person you've thought you are your whole life, from your circumstances, from your thoughts, from your feelings. Another one is to just simply ask yourself, who is aware of this thought? Who is aware of this thought? Well, you'll get a blank. Because your awareness itself. Awareness is aware of this thought. Consciousness is aware of this thought. That right there is evidence, the proof that you are not your mind. Another one is you could just say aloud, I am. No story, No need to qualify it. Just let that be enough. I am. And that's it. Excuse me. This has changed my entire life. You don't need a ritual. You don't need a tool. You are the ritual. You are the point of power. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It takes awareness. It takes presence. And that's the place where you create from. And so essentially we're getting the human out of the way to give the soul time to come online and start to create in our lives. And we're going to go much more into details, and we're going to go much more into how this works in the coming weeks. But I do want to say this one thing and make this really clear. Like, a lot of these New Age teachings that teach you that you're the creator of your reality teach you that you are the creator, and people get like all worked up about this. They get confused. A lot of people deny it, like this back and forth. You are God, right? You are source. You are God. Here's the thing, yes and no. At the same time, it's yes and no. Yes, you are the sole creator of your personal experience. Yes, you are also part of God. But we don't live in a solipsistic reality the way some New Age teachers preach, where we do exist in a shared field, a collective experience that's shaped by shared levels of consciousness, shared beliefs, shared intentions. And so there is your personal reality, and then there is the collective reality. And there are things that you do not have control of that go on in the collective reality. There are just some things about life that you'll never have control over. People die. You know? You're still going to experience life. It's not like you become God and then all of a sudden you're not a human anymore. But you're not God in the sense that you can blink and rewrite the entire world. But you are the sole source of your personal experience. And so life is not happening to you. It's happening through you. And over time, you start to learn the difference between what you have direct control over through your choices and through your awareness and holding the line until you see it, and what is just a part of the collective experience because we're in duality and we're going to have to experience. Because that is how creation works, right? Like, we have to have some experiences of contrast, of things that we are not going to like, in order to send the messages, send the information of the experiences back to our higher self, back to source, the Godhead. That's how creation works. Like, this is an experience of us having this experience down here in this dense duality where there's a lot of contrast, so that source of all things, the one consciousness, can have those experiences. Like, that's the point. Because it needs to have this experience through us, this experience of separateness, in order to have any experience at all. Because oneness, on that level of oneness, that's the only way to create experience, is to have separateness, which actually doesn't exist. So there's two things in this reality, this experience, that actually don't exist, but that we experience very much here in this world. And that is separateness and lack. And the more we believe in separateness and lack, the more real they become for us. And those are the two things that we are going to try our best to transcend as best as we can. Because they actually don't exist on the level of truth with a capital T. And so, your personal experience, your lived everyday life, your bank account, your relationships, your lifestyle, where you live, what you have access to, the opportunities, all of these things, that the reason what we're here for, right? We're doing this to make that better. That works like a multi-dimensional hall of mirrors that's designed for your self-mastery. You're literally have created a situation where your beliefs and your knowing and your presence and your intention and the way you can direct your will is literally mirrored back to you at all levels of this experience. And when you learn how to read those mirrors and take that and make the shifts within, that's when you start to see your reality mirrored back to you in the way that you want to see it. And so when you master yourself truly, and I'm still on this path as well, I would not say that I'm a master in anything, but the path is one of mastery, right? It's learning to become masters of ourselves, right? And it's at a master level. Like this is the highest teaching of reality creation that you're going to find, because we're no longer doing things from the level of the human, right? We're no longer going crazy trying to reprogram the subconscious. We're no longer giving our power away to the tools, right? We're coming back to consciousness and presence as the root, because when you come back there, you're online. When you come back to that place of I am, and you sit in that presence, and you're not identifying with the human experience and your thoughts and your feelings and the outside world, that's when you get out of the way and you allow your higher self to channel through you. That's where that's where all your intuition comes from, right? That's where you have your direct connection to your higher self and source. That's where you are source. And that's where we want to make our choices from about what we want to experience, not from the wounds and the programming. Because when we do that, when we make our choices and we have our desires and the things we think we want from that place of the human, then we want things that may not be for us. They may not be true desires. I hope that this makes sense. Because a lot of time we go through our lives with our human thinking we want things just because we have a wound or we feel a lack, right? We have a hole we want to fill. And so we think that we know what's best for us. But it's actually not. And you actually can't get what's best for you until you fill that hole first and become the thing from the inside out first. You become love from the inside out. And then what's meant for you in the realm of love will start to appear in your experience. The same way with money. The same way with everything. And so we're not here to keep casting spells from fear or journaling from lack. We're here to remember. To become the version of ourselves who knows that I am the source, that my reality responds to me, and that my alignment with my higher self through my level of conscious awareness is what creates the path. And I don't have to know what comes next, because it will continue to unfold. It's an unfolding that we experience here. It's a becoming. And so we're shifting from trying to create results with magic, trying to manifest things that we don't have, to manifesting, creating our own becoming. And once you've touched this knowing, you can't unknow it. And you'll never again be fooled by appearances. There are moments where you can look at your outside world and think, and for a minute you forget, right? You forget that you're the source. You forget that you've already made a decision, and you start believing in it. Which is why it's so important to have someone to follow, to have people that you know are really in alignment with the path that you're on, that help pull you back out of that, right? That help you to remember. But if you do the presence exercises every day, you'll have this inkling. You'll have this, when you start to believe it, your higher self will say, no, that's not actually real, your source. And you'll come back. You'll come back to, I don't have to go crazy and fix that. I chose. And it will unfold. I know this sounds crazy, and it probably sounds crazy to a lot of people, but it might feel like truth for you. And if it does, and if this really speaks to you, I want you to know that this is only the beginning. This is only the first step.